I think, sir, that even foreign countries try to establish air base in other countries in order to enable them act promptly if emergency, if there is a situation of emergency that require the intervention of the Air Force. I find nothing wrong. In fact, I see all the benefit. Considering that in that part of the country, there is no air base in the South-South. So should there be need for quick reinforcement and quick mobilization of Nigeria Air Force to deal with a perceived security challenge, I think such an airstrip will handily be available. My brother's suggestion that federal government has so much in his hand and therefore they should not put it as urgent, with due respect to him, is neither here or there. We all understand, it goes without saying, that any motion we have passed here that will involve financial exposure will be done only to the extent that the planning authorities can reconcile the funds required for it vis-a-vis doing cost-benefit analysis. I think that in terms of geopolitical servicing of the responsibility of Nigeria Air Force to secure the territorial integrity of Nigeria, I found a lot of merit in his submission. I do not think it's about cost, it's about security. And as we now know, security is virtually everything. If you think it is too much to secure the country, try the cost of its security. And the Air Force that I know, we have a base in Kaduna, we have a base in Lagos, we probably have a base in Makurdi. I think it is right and fitting and equitable. And in terms of logistics, it is appropriate to have an Air Force base in that part of the South-South. It has merit, and I urge my colleagues to support it, knowing that it is not a decree that must be invoked today. The appropriate Air Force authorities will plan it, and they will know how to face the development. Rome was not built in a day, but the idea to build Rome started on a particular day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Distinguished Senator
Garba Musa Maidoki, representing the good people of Kebbi South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I work in Niger Delta all my life, so I'm in full support of reviving this airstrip. But I need to correct an impression first that there is no Air Force base in South-South. That is not true. There is an Air Force base in Port Harcourt Township. But the critical nature of this airstrip is that, just like distinguished Senator Benga Daniel said, that miscreants are misusing that place for illegality against this country. As far as I know today, there is no complete radar coverage the whole of Nigeria. Aircraft do come in, use the remote locations, do illegal things, and leave this country without a trace. Niger Delta is the golden goose that laid the golden egg for Nigerian foreign exchange. Everybody knows the problem of oil theft and pipeline vandalism. That airport, if it is strengthened, will actually pay for itself, because the wastages and the stealing of crude oil that goes in by crooks will actually be checked, and response can be done immediately. So this cost will, if they curtail the thefts of crude oil and pipeline vandalism, the cost was less than 1% of what we are losing. This airport is critical, is security, and it will secure our lives and livelihood in Niger Delta. I so support this 100%. Thank you very much, sir. Garba Musa Maidoki, representing the good people of Kebbi South Senatorial District. Mr. President, I work in Niger Delta all my life, so I'm in full support of reviving this airstrip. But I need to correct an impression first that there is no Air Force base in South-South. That is not true. There is an Air Force base in Port Harcourt Township. But the critical nature of this airstrip is that, just like distinguished Senator Benga Daniel said, that miscreants are misusing that place for illegality against this country. As far as I know today, there is no complete radar coverage the whole of Nigeria. Aircraft do come in, use the remote locations, do illegal things, and leave this country without a trace. Niger Delta is a golden goose that laid the golden egg for Nigerian foreign exchange. Everybody knows the problem of oil theft and pipeline vandalism. That airport, if it is strengthened, will actually pay for itself, because the wastages and the stealing of crude oil that goes in by crooks will actually be checked, and response can be done immediately. So this cost will, if they curtail the thefts of crude oil and pipeline vandalism, the cost was less than 1% of what we are losing. This airport is critical, is security, and it will secure our lives and livelihood in Niger Delta. I so support this 100%. Thank you very much, sir.
I know the convention here that one may not be able to speak twice during plenary, but sometimes very important things come up, and one is persuaded by conscience to contribute. Thank you for this opportunity. Mr. President, looking at this motion brought by Benson Agadaga, you will see the historical perspective. Oil was discovered in Oloibiri in 1956. Before the discovery of this oil in Oloibiri, Nigeria was surviving on agriculture, mainly farm produce and the rest of it. But since the discovery of oil in Oloibiri, Nigeria got a boom in its economic empowerment through petrodollars that started flowing from oil. The airstrip that was built in Oloibiri is a historical airstrip. That oil well one in Oloibiri is already a historical site. It's a historical monument that Nigerians will ever want to preserve. It's even it's supposed to be a tourist center where Nigerians will go, and people who come will go to see that place where oil was first discovered in Nigeria. The airstrip being canvassed for, I do not think it's just because of security. It is because of the strategic importance of that location in Nigeria's economic advancement and progress. It is therefore very important that that place should be accessible at all times. That airstrip, when constructed and brought back to function as an airstrip, people will go to Oloibiri. Myself would like to go to Oloibiri someday. Am I going to go to Oloibiri by canoe or whatever, flying boats? The airstrip will make it very convenient for people to get there. It brings another aspect of our neglect to areas that are very important in our national life. The Niger Delta region, from where we have this money, which we have built all the international airports in Nigeria, including any part of Nigeria have airport, is money from that place. What will be the cost of that airstrip? It will be insignificant compared to its contribution to national development and growth. So I will say that even though the airstrip will serve other purposes, it is important that that area from where this oil was first discovered should be made a national center where people will go and see what it is. And development should come around that place. There was a day I saw the Oloibiri oil well, one, surrounded by bush. It's not, nobody clears it anymore. I saw it on social media, and I wept. I said, how can this place, this port that opened the gate to Nigeria be so neglected? The white man will preserve that port, clear it, and make it very attractive for somebody to come and see. So I think that it should be accorded the importance and not trivialized. What Agaraga Benson has said is in accord with equity and fairness. We should be able to put money there and build that airstrip. I know there are competing needs in Nigeria, but that one is a very small need for government of Nigeria to finance. So on this note, I want to rise to support that airstrip needs to be built, not just a small airstrip, it should be built very strongly and equipped very well. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, my name is Oji Ozokalo. I represent Abia North. In supporting the motion raised by Senator Agadaga, it's not only our Air Force can use that airport. That airport should sincerely be used by Nigerian Navy and by Nigerian people. If you check between Oloibiri and the Atlantic Ocean, it's not very far, because most times all the war ships we are carrying, like Arado and all the rest of them, Okemiri, they must not be ready to carry the aircraft carrier. Nigerian Navy can use Oloibiri as a launching pad to the Atlantic Ocean. So it's not only Nigerian Air Force that you make it to be popular for, so to use it. Nigerian Navy have aircraft that they use, sometimes to put in their aircraft carrier. Most of the times, Nigerian aircraft carrier, as big as Arado, might be going on servicing and all the rest of them. Nigeria will not be protected by aircraft carrier on that route. So Oloibiri can be an alternate landing pad for Nigerian Navy to guide the oil pipelines. So, Senator Agadaga, this airstrip is not only good for Air Force, it's going to serve Nigerian public. It's also, federal government should reactivate the airstrip to be a visiting site by foreigners, because this is the first place our oil came from, because people can come. And it can also be an alternate airport to Port Harcourt Airport and the airstrip in Port Harcourt. Because sometimes when you are coming on L18 of the roadway, you can see that there is dews or something covering it. You go to alternate airport and land, nobody will return you back to Abuja. Because returning you to Abuja, it will be allowed commercial aircraft can use it, not only Air Force or Navy or so forth. So it will be an alternate airport to that area, because airline operators are losing a lot of money. Whenever there's a weather problem in Port Harcourt Airport, they are going back to Lagos or going back to Abuja to land. It's also a problem. So it's not a waste, Mr. President. It's not a waste by any means. It's going to serve three purposes: our Air Force, our Navy, and commercial purposes. So I support this motion wholeheartedly, because the right thing to do at the right time. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This said that if the strategic nature, the historical connotation of Oloibiri is what Senator Ome tried to canvass. Yes, we have finished drilling the oil. We have left the soil desolate. We have abandoned the site, and yet it's actually a historical site. That there was the first oil well ever discovered in Nigeria in 1956. Very sadly, some years ago, I was shocked to realize that that area had no electricity for over 33 years. The whole of that community had no electricity. The moment the oil companies move out, after they conclude the excavation, after they finish with the oil, after they sapped the oil, the area was left abandoned. So even what you are talking about now is for us to try to preserve certain historical monuments. And that, for me, is one. The other aspect of what Senator Oshiomole pointed out is that development anywhere is development everywhere. It's not only the Air Force that can make use of that place, but also the Navy. And you need to know that within that area, we don't really have a search and rescue airstrip, where if there's any mishap within the Gulf of Guinea, then we can quickly respond to save lives. So I would just want to add my voice in thanking you for bringing this motion and to say, yes, it has received wide acclamation from your colleagues and it's the right thing to do, and pray that the government will see the need to go back and then renovate, reconstruct that airstrip for use by security agencies for the benefit of Nigerian economy, to protect our pipelines, to also allow to rescue human beings in the event of any mishap by boat or by air. So I thank you, and I thank my colleagues for their contributions. Can we go to the prayer? Accordingly resolve to urge the Ministry of Aviation and the Nigerian Air Force to take over and convert the deserted and uncultivable wasteland I'm reading according to your English. No, it's your English that I'm reading. What is here?
Not an Englishman, to correct it.
Yeah, no. He's allowed to mix it with his local language. so it's the deserted wasteland of the abandoned Shell airstrip at Oloibiri, Oil Well 1, Otuogidi, to a modern Air Force base in Bayelsa State. To a modern airstrip in Bayelsa State. Those in support of the single prayer say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So thank you very much for bringing this to the fore. Additional prayer, Senator Garba.
Thank you very much, the Senate President. As you...
And very distinguished colleagues, my name is Issa Jibrin. I represent Kogi East. Mr. President, first I want to commend the mover of this motion for a very thorough research on the history of that airstrip. But, Mr. President, sir, I want to believe that the airstrip being mentioned here was built many years ago for a particular purpose, for the use of Shell, okay? As it is today, Shell has withdrawn its operations from that location. If we are going to revive this airstrip or transform it to an Air Force base, I don't really know if the cost of transforming this airstrip to an Air Force port will be worth the while. Because at the end of the day, we will have to look at the cost-benefit analysis. Nigeria today has so many urgent needs that will touch the lives of all Nigerians. Can we afford to go into this type of venture now? The cost of transforming this airstrip to his desired Air Force base will be enormous. Apart from the initial cost, there will be annual maintenance costs. Are there other benefits there to Nigerians and even to that environment beyond the pride of having that airstrip there or having the Air Force base there? Do we really have any are there any other economic benefits attributable to Nigeria? So, Mr. President, while I support this motion, I think it is not a motion that should deserve the urgent attention of the federal government. We may confine it to a long-term plan of the federal government because there are so many issues today in Nigeria that demand all forms of funding from the federal government. I so submit. There is no urgency here as it is now, because whatever you want to do here will entail funding from the federal government. And I'm saying that there are more urgent needs for the government to fund now as it is now. So we may have to confine this to a long-term plan of the federal government, not immediate or not immediate need of the federal government.
Okay, let me. I try to look at those who have not spoken today.
I'm Otumba Benga, down there representing Ogun East District District. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I don't really see that there is need to debate much on this very important submission by our colleague. An airstrip has various functions, and when it is in the hands of SDPC, Shell, the entire security apparatus know that the airstrip in their hand. And they are therefore responsible, apart from the daily routine of work they do with the airstrip, they are responsible for the security implications of what will happen in that airstrip. Now that the place is abandoned, it is my submission that it is indeed a security risk to leave it unattended. For whatever it's worth, since it is an airstrip that is existing, I'm not envisaging that there's a lot of money that requires to be spent to go and take it over. I think the minimum that should happen is that the Nigerian Air Force, even if it's for reasons of security, should go and take over the airstrip nearly immediately. You'll agree with me that a lot of pilferages is going on across the country today. Illegal miners who bring all sorts of aircraft to the country and take whatever they want to take without being challenged. You can therefore imagine the opportunity cost that we'll be losing if we leave the airstrip the way it is unattended. It is therefore my submission to support and ask my colleagues to support this, this bill. Thank you, Mr. President.
Yes, the senior Senator Oshiomole.
Thank you, Mr. President, and my distinguished colleagues. My name is Kakashehu Lawan. I represent the good people of Borno Central Senatorial District. I rise to second the motion ably moved by my good brother, Chief Benson Agadaga.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof.
And with the leave of Mr. President, I would like to lend my voice. Mr. President, sir, the motion just moved by Chief Agadaga is apt and timely. It is high time that all parts of Nigeria do have all sorts of military establishments with a view to reading or wiping out criminals and criminal activities, particularly in the creeks where Chief Benson Agadaga hails from. Without wasting much of our time, Mr. President, I urge all my colleagues to support this noble motion. Thank you, Mr. President and distinguished colleagues.
The joint venture, NAPIMS, should all bring in resources to reactivate this oil field. Thank you very much, sir.
Of Lagos West, I rise to support the additional prayer that all oil companies should contribute to the development of the area as moved by Senator Medoki.
Distinguished colleagues, an additional prayer by distinguished Senator Garba Maidoki is to the effect that the NNPCL, together with the NDDC, alongside Shell and other companies, should also make contributions with the federal government to immortalize that oil well at Oloibiri by turning that place into a major airstrip for use by the armed forces. Those in support of this additional prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So we are calling on the NNPC, the NDDC, the Shell, and other oil operators to remember that that was the first oil well in Nigeria, and therefore we should not allow it to remain a wasteland. We should utilize the place in memory of the resources that place had brought to Nigeria. Thank you for bringing this motion, and thank you for your contributions. Leader of the Senate.